The big problem in the Maccabean revolt for us who do Seleucid history is this religious persecution, because Hellenistic kings don't do religious persecution. They do what the Achaemenids do, which is interaction with local constituency on terms negotiated by both parties. The persecution, so-called persecution, takes place, and the Maccabean sources are clear, and basically that the king wanted to impose a single religion and bans Judaism. That is said in explicit terms. The same source seems to indicate that something slightly different is going on, namely that in the aftermath of the Fifth Syrian War, there's unrest in Jerusalem, pro-Ptolemaic, pro-Seleucid faction. There's been some kind of civil war, and the result has been punitive action taken by the Seleucid state. No more nice guy, the gloves come off, namely probably the refoundation of the city of Jerusalem as a royal city, as a military colony of some sort, and the a change in the status of the whole area. Will be all kind of territory being assigned to it, populations being assigned to it as citizens of a certain status, and so on. And that seems to be the transaction that basically is remembered as religious persecution. The local shrine is basically assigned to the royal city. The community of the Jews loses its autonomy as a punishment for revolt, is assigned to this new city. Some members, the Jewish elites, are almost certainly given citizenship to the new city. The book of Daniel seems to indicate all kinds of transactions and negotiations going on at the local level. The result of this is, as the first book of Maccabees says, the vanishing of the name of Jew. That is a very good indication of what's going on. That what's going on is a synoikism, namely the dissolution of local communities into a big royal state. So what is described as religious persecution is simply the application of the normal formula of a punitive synoikism, namely that one community just loses its identity in a bigger foundation, loses the rights which it had to practice its own laws, which again is illuminated by an inscription, namely in the case of Mytilene, when the city of Mytilene lost its independence, it lost its temple. Now, what does this all mean? The first thing is that there is no specifically religiously targeted persecution. There are religious consequences, probably because of the way of the law and what the laws mean in the case of the Jewish community. There are religious consequences of these acts of political and administrative history. So that's one consequence. The other consequence is that, if you want, you could read this in the most minimalist way possible. Namely, there is a set of interactions with the Seleucid state, foundation of a city by the local elites, rebellion, synoikism, failed synoikism, unrest, petition, restoration of the Jewish community. All this would not look out of place in, say, Northwest Asia Minor, where we know this sort of stuff. You know, kings are always meddling with local frontiers, trying to found big things. Small cities escape from it, and so on. This stuff is happening. Okay? That would be one minimalist reading in which there is no need for a Maccabean revolt at all. The Hasmonean group might emerge very late in the story, and what we have would be as Sylvia Honeyman called it, the chanson myth of one particular group of what says Schwarzkopf's village strongmen, I think, who basically managed to achieve late on, because they have military means and the capacity for violence, favor as a group within the late Seleucid rule. In a way, the risk here is saying, look, the documents are on stone, they give you the truth. It's the story of administration. The interesting thing about the Maccabean narrative is the possibility of seeing how traumatic these events are, of And they must have been lived like that, lived this way by other communities. Losing your status in a political community, losing your shrine, seeing your shrine, your whole religious life taken over by a large royal foundation. What happens in the countryside? The possibility of the enforcement of these measures with extreme violence by the Seleucid state. The interesting thing is that this then gets remembered as religious persecution. It's a very important part of the, let's call it the Maccabean myth, of making this as a central part of what happened and a central plank of the legitimacy of this group and its claim to rule. And this also seems to be remembered that way by other people. That also is very, very interesting. Why look at the Maccabees with inscriptions? There are two reasons for this. One is that this is material that illuminates the period. It provides not just context, but explanation for what's going on. And two, because this material is constantly being renewed by new discoveries.